Welcome, friends, back to A Journey Divine. Welcome back with Chadwick
and Charlie.
That's my name. And good to see you today. We're going to conclude an interview we started with our friend David Porter last time.
Super guy.
He was a super guy. And other super folks are David and Brenda Shockley.
Thanks, Mom and Dad, for sponsoring these episodes.
And if you'd like to sponsor one in the future, we look for more sponsors, so please keep us in mind. But we're in for a treat. We're going to finish with David
here at Hidden River Cave. Let's get to it, part 2.
Let's do it. Enjoy. If you ask me.
Now, David, tell us, you were born where?
I was technically born in West Virginia, but I grew up here in Kentucky.
And you grew up in an atheist family?
No, it's definitely religious.
That's what I thought. So tell us a little bit about your transformation to where you are today.
Right. So I grew up in a more Pentecostal-leaning church. I think it was technically independent, but they were definitely charismatic, and they spoke in tongues, wore the dresses, and all the stuff that you would normally associate with Pentecostal churches, at least the more conservative ones. Eventually we kind of moved out of that area, so the distance between going to church was a lot longer. We moved to Glasgow at that time, and when I got older, I started looking for a church of my own, and I actually found some Baptist churches, started attending those. So it was a pretty big difference. Even at the time, I kind of felt deceived, maybe, because I felt like my beliefs then, like that I had before I went to the Baptist church, were wrong.
Right.
So I kind of examined it, tried to examine it objectively before. The whole question of, should I be a Christian? And I just kind of started over from the beginning. And back then, I landed on, that I thought Christianity was true. I looked up a lot of apologists and debates, and I was kind of into the apologists,
Right.
trying to, the reasons why you believe what you believe. And at the time, those were good enough for me to believe, but as I got older and started to question things again, and I looked a little bit past the initial apologist answers to see if they held water, and they really don't. So as I saw my belief and the evidence of whether the Bible is true or God is, the arguments for God, those were slowly chipped away, and I kind of just held on to it. My faith is just, it was something I was comfortable with, and eventually I had to be honest with myself, and I had to say that I didn't really see a good reason to believe that there was a God. And I don't really remember the exact day, or I just remember I was sitting in my car and thinking about religion, and just realized I didn't believe anymore.
It's an evolution for you. It wasn't something that just happened
Right.
in one moment.
It was definitely slow.
It was a
Thought
process
behind it.
Yeah.
And something you took very seriously, because you
Right.
researched all the apologists and this and that.
And I still do. I mean, I try to keep up with the arguments that come from different faiths, and just to at least, I don't think anything's really going to change my mind. I feel like I'm kind of seeing behind the curtain, I guess.
Right.
But the possibility's still out there, so I keep up with it, but I haven't really seen anything to change my mind.
Judgment that you noticed from the Christian community played a role
It did.
in your decisions eventually.
It didn't really have anything to do with whether I thought Okay, so like the judgments of different Christians, like the Westboro Baptists were in the news, and you got like different mega church pastors that are saying natural disasters are based off of our sin and whatnot. And even when I was in the church, I didn't believe that, but I just saw how different Christians were acting, and I think that if Christianity were true and the Bible has that transformative power that it claims, then I think there would be more consistency to Christianity, its adherence. I mean, obviously, I know people, might fake it, but one of the things that I determined when looking at or questioning my faith is I can't really use faith as a determiner of truth. You can believe anything on faith. The same people, like the Westboro Baptist Church, would say that their faith, they'd use that as a justification to what they're doing.
Right.
So I had to look at other things.
I'm curious, knowing how we all live in the Bible Belt, and when I drove here from the interstate, I should have counted the churches I passed up to get here. There's a lot. Do you find other people that have the Christian faith that live around you, are they accepting? Are they what kind of reaction do you get? I'm just curious.
Half and half.
Do people know, generally
Or
speaking?
no?
Is it even an issue?
I mean, generally people don't know. I mean, if they ask if I go to church or what I believe.
Are you a closeted atheist?
I'm not closeted. Yeah. No, if the subject gets brought up, I don't mind sharing my views, but I don't exactly go around talking about it.
Just
out
like
of the
other
blue.
people that we've
Right.
met, they're not pushing their views
Right.
or opinions, but they're ready to share them.
Yeah.
Right.
So if certain subjects get brought up, I mean, I'm going to share what I think, but I'm not going to go to my workplace and, just try to talk people out of whatever they believe.
And you touched on something a minute ago that provoked this question in my mind. And I've talked to some of my friends who are atheists or agnostics about this same question. You appear to be open-minded enough, and you said something a minute ago, and you said, I don't think my mind would ever change.
Right.
But do you feel like you're open-minded enough that something, some event, some thought could bend you?
That's the thing, is like, there's like a saying that goes around in the atheist community, at least some of it anyway, is I want to believe as many true things and as few false things as possible. Mm-hmm. That's my goal. And if there's enough evidence to change my mind, then I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go with what I think has the most evidence. Mm-hmm. And there's also another misconception of people get to choose what they believe. That's not true. You believe whatever you're convinced of. I can't convince myself that this isn't a cave, or I mean, maybe somebody could get into this technical thing and convince me that maybe this technically isn't a cave, or I don't know. Then maybe I would change my mind. But the more extraordinary claims, such as a God belief, require more evidence. I think Christopher Hitchens is a big proponent of that too. Mm-hmm. Was a big proponent. Basically, the more extraordinary claims require more evidence.
That's a mature approach to say that you're evolving. You have evolved to get to this point, and you're still evolving. And shouldn't we all be, right?
I started to say, Charlie, I have a question for you. Have you evolved?
I have evolved.
I certainly have evolved.
And I was thinking of all the people that I know that seem to be stuck. They believe what they believed when they were 20, and that's the exact same thing at 60 or 80. But as we mature and see things and observe and think, certainly we should be evolving, right? I have, most definitely. over the years.
And those people are usually the people that maintain a bright smile and an optimistic outlook and a broad mind.
Right. Right.
And there's the people that we enjoy being with.
Right. Right. Yeah, evolution's good, and open mind, and still soaking in data. All of us are on the journey divine. We all soak in the data and still think through it and process it and become different people.
And now we
on
have
that
more
journey.
to think about.
We do. That's right. We have more to think about now. You've been kind to share with us.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for
today.
letting me share. I guess another distinction that I was just thinking of earlier, actually, too, is before I'm sure other atheists might get after me if I don't mention this, is also atheism isn't like necessarily saying that there is no God. It's just a lack of belief in God. So there's two different claims too. So if I say there is no God, there's kind of this proof, not really proof, but burden of me to kind of
Demonstrate
the fact that there is no God. But if I say I just have lack of belief in God, that puts the burden of like where it should be, and basically where you might say, here's the reasons for why you should believe in God, and I could examine those and say those don't really hold water.
Right.
If I wanted to learn more about agnostics, atheists, or free thinkers, is there a website or a resource or a place to turn, or
Find you on Facebook.
Right.
find you on Facebook? Or
There are quite a few different resources. The Free Thinkers of Bowling Green on Facebook is a
Would be a
good
good place to
resource.
start.
And then there's YouTube channels and websites all about that, and there's plenty of information you can get out of it.
Have you learned a lot from the Free Thinker Facebook page?
Yeah,
Those people.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely keeps up with like current affairs, as far as, especially in the political world, how religion kind of creeps up into our politics.
Sure does.
We're not big fans of that.
Our screen goes black.
It does. It creeps up in politics and many places beyond that, for sure. Yeah, we notice it. We all notice it, right?
Yeah.
Well, what a beautiful place to have
Yes.
joined together today and spent some time with David Porter.
It's good to spend time with you all too.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Good
David,
to see
thank you.
again.
And we will see everybody soon. And David, you'll come back right sometime, and
Sure.
we have our reunion,
Yeah.
a reunion
Right,
episode.
The reunion episode.
Right. You'll
And
come
you'll
back.
invite us on your YouTube channel playing video games.
Oh, yeah. I don't have a YouTube channel.
Well, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. And it's always a pleasure to be with you, Charlie.
Yes. Chadwick, likewise. David, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We'll see you soon.
See ya.
Well, we're through with David. He was a very gracious guest, and he talked 30 more minutes when we got done.
We had a great conversation before and afterward, as a matter of fact.
We did, and we walked down to the bookstore also, downtown Horse Cave, while we were here.
Uh-huh.
So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Let's see, like, right?
Subscribe. Comment. Send us messages. Yeah, we
Yes.
can't wait to hear from you.
All of that, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.